Before we begin, there's a few things that you should be aware of. If you're doing a SIMnet project that is auto-graded, always use the SIMnet project instructions and the start file in the SIMnet project area. That's what you see on the screen right here. It's really important that you get your instructions right from there. Secondly, if you're doing a project that is not auto-graded, such as pause and practice, we highly encourage that you use the instructions in the sim book rather than the printed book if you have it, because the sim book project instructions are always up to date. And then lastly, there are slight differences between Office 365 and 2019. The book and project instructions are written in Office 365, and where differences exist, they'll be noted in the project instructions or in the sim book. Okay, let's begin. The first step is always to open up the start file. It's right here. I click on it, and it drops into my downloads folder, or I'm on Chrome, so I can click on it right here. But before we move on, I want to talk about the resources that you'll need. You'll need to extract some files for this particular project, and how you do that is you click on the button that says Resources, and it'll drop it also into your downloads folder. In some computers and devices, it might put it somewhere else. On a lot of computers, however, it'll put it in the downloads folder. On Chrome, it'll put it here. I think Firefox is in the upper right. If you need assistance with this, there's a question mark in the upper right-hand portion of the screen. Click on it, then click SIMnet Help. It's down in the lower right-hand portion. You can click on Resources. Then there's information to help you. There's downloading resources and extracting them. You can read about how to do that, but I'll quickly show you how I do it. Since I downloaded them already, I'm going to head over to the Downloads folder, and I have my file ready to go, but in my resources, what I need to do is I need to extract the file or files in there. It's pretty simple to do, at least on a PC here. I right-click, and there should be a choice that says Extract All. Once again, if you're having problems with this, you can go to that help area, that question mark. I click Extract All. It says, hey, where do you want to extract it to? I'll leave it right here. And I already downloaded this, I already practiced this. You won't get this screen and the skip screen, but what it'll do for you, it'll open up, and then you'll have that right there ready to go. So that's in the downloads area. I'm going to X out of that, click on the start file, and last thing about start file, if it opens up in protected mode, click enable editing, and that will allow you to edit this particular document. That completes step one. Step two, it says rename the file if you need to. If your instructor tells you to rename it, this is the time to do it. Otherwise, you can leave it as is and just begin working. That completes step two. Step three, I'm going to go over this step by step. I'm going to go over it carefully and slowly, and if that is irksome for you, you can certainly skip down the video a little bit. I am literally going over it step by step, checking off each item as I do it, just as my students would do it. That's why I do this. So students who aren't that familiar with it can go along and follow along with me. So step 3A, it says select the entire top line, which is the title, including the paragraph mark. That's what's called a show hide button. It should be on, and that lets you know when you hit the enter button, when there's a tab and things like that. I'm going to leave it on because these instructions ask you to have it on. They're not going to print, but they're helpful when you're editing. Next, I'm going to click the WordArt button, Insert tab, Text group, and I know that's over here, WordArt, and I'm going to choose this one right here. Check your instructions, make sure it's the third option, but check your instructions and make sure you're doing the right one. Sometimes they move things around a little bit, so whatever the current instructions say, that's what you should do. Next, it says change the shape width to 6.5. We're still on that shape. It's over here on the right. I'm going to bump it up to 6.5. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next, it says click the position button. And I always have to read this a couple times to make sure I have it. The arrange group right here, position, wants me to do more layout options. It's going to open up this dialog box. And I'm going to go a little bit slowly, even more slowly than normal, to make sure I have everything. It says, this is 3F, the alignment in the horizontal alignment. This is a horizontal area alignment. Centered relative to margin. Easy enough. In the vertical area down here, the absolute position to 0.2. I just bump it up. I suppose you could type it in there, but I just use the up arrow to below page. Click OK. Probably did everything correctly there, hopefully. And then we're on the last step in 3. It's I. It says click the text effects button in the WordArt text effects right here. Select reflection. Select the first option in the first row of the reflection variations. Should be this one right here. Should be tight reflection touching. Okay. That looks good. That completes step 3. Step 4. We're going to convert text into a table. So what we need to do is select all of the text. Let's see if I can make this just a little bit bigger for us here. Select all of the text. I'm going to click on the table button, which is in the Insert tab. Table, lots of choices there. Convert text to table. This is a neat feature to know. It'll open up this dialog box. And then I'm going to click the Auto Fit to Contents option. Auto Fit to Contents. It does exactly what you think it does. Make sure I got that right. I click OK and watch what happens. That happens. Then I'm going to click the Table Tools Design tab. And I need to be up here. Sometimes you see that it opens up 2 different tabs. If you can't find it in the one, click on the other tab. This is very common in Microsoft products. It'll open up multiple tabs. So I need to make sure Table Tools Design tab, and then I need to click the header row and bandit row and deselect any other boxes. In this case, first column is selected. What you can see what, well, actually it's hard to see it right there, but I'm deselecting first column. And then I need to click the More button in the Table Styles group. This is the Table Styles group. This is the More button, little button right here. Then we need to select the grid Table 4 Accent 2. Let's see if I can find it. This program is rather particular, so I'm taking my time making sure that it's exactly right. I apologize if this is too slow, but this is the way that I have to do it. I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student in this case. That looks good. Great. Then it says, place the insertion point before zone in the second column. Right before zone. And hopefully you can see this. There's a little dot there. And that means when you have the show hide buttons on, these backwards P's, they're called pillars, paragraph symbols, they're there. Also, every time you put a space, it leaves a little tiny dot. They don't show up when you print, but they're there for you. So in this case, I put it directly behind the Z, but in front of the dot. And when I hit the backspace button, it takes out that space. Then I'm going to hit enter. Watch what happens. I need to do the same thing. We're almost there. Need to place the insertion point before the heart. Backspace, press enter. You can see how it shortens everything up. And that completes step 4. Step 5, use the table selector handle to select the entire table. This is the handle right here. I click it, and then the whole thing gets selected. That's 5A. 5B, it says click on the Align Center button. I need to be on the Layout tab up here now. In the Alignment group, there's a Center button. It's the very center one. That centers everything, vertically and horizontally. Next, I need to click the Properties button. Always takes me a few seconds to find it. And I'm just looking at the instructions. Properties button, there we go. Click the Table tab. It's on it. Mine defaults to opening up on the Table tab. There's 4 or 5 others there. Then it wants me to click or select Center. And click OK. Nice. Next, it says Cell Margins. I need to still be on the Layout tab here. Cell Margins. And it wants me to change the top and bottom to 0.03 and the left and right to 0.1. Sure, it's hard for you to see, but I'm just clicking the up buttons to get it where it needs to go. Click OK to close the dialog box. That completes step 5. Step 6, insert and modify a SmartArt graphic. This is pretty simple to do. 6A says place the insertion point at the end, the second body paragraph, right here. Then it says click the SmartArt button, insert tab. Need to find SmartArt, SmartArt, process, continuous block. Now I've done this a few times, so I know where it is. You can simply hover over them to find them. Click OK. And now what we want to do is I want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. I want to click in the first text box, the placeholder box here. I want to type in 220 with a space. The next box. Oh, I'm sorry. I needed to put a minus there or a hyphen. So a space, then that. Next, need to put in your age with a space, then an equal sign. The last placeholder text, click on it, type in predicted. I'm just going to click out of that to lock it in place, but that completes step 6. Step 7, we're going to resize and format the SmartArt. So what it wants us to do is click on the outside frame of the SmartArt, somewhere in the white area, not in here. You don't want to select individual pieces. You want to be somewhere near the edge. And then it says change the shape height to 1.5. And I need to be up here. I want to make sure. I know it's up here in the format area. It's saying change the shape height to 1.5. We're going to shrink this up a bit. And then it wants us to shrink the width down to 2.6. Oh, there we go. Looks pretty good. It says next, click the wrap text button. It's over here. Select it. And it wants us to choose square. You can see how that text wraps around it there. Next, we need to click on the format tab. We're on the format there. The position button, which is over here. I just saw it. There we go. Position button. More layout options. And here's where we need to change some positions. Change the absolute position to 4.5. I could type it in. I make less errors when I use the arrows and click, since I don't do that this often. And this is in the horizontal area. Change the margin to right. To the right of the margin. There we go. Next, I'm sure it wants us to do, I need to flip the instructions over here. Change the absolute position on the vertical area, which is the one below it, to 0.4. And then below margin. Click OK to close. We still have a little bit more to do here. If for some reason this got deselected, you could click back on it to select it again. And then it wants us to go up here to styles. Anytime you're dealing with a style, there's probably going to be another tab that says design or style or something like that. In this case, it's the design, SmartArt design. And then in the styles area, SmartArt styles, it wants us to choose the intense effect. And I want to make sure that I get it right. Okay, that puts the intense effect on there. Next, it says click the edge of the first box. When I hold down the control button and the B, it's going to bold everything in there. I'm going to do the same thing with the other ones. So I know it's going to ask me to do that. Yep, it does. And then lastly, it says, this is already selected, but if it was deselected, I could select back that last text box. And then on the format button, it wants me to do shape fill, red accent 2. Let's see, I think it's this one, red accent 2. Looks like a winner. Okay, great. That completes step 7. Step 8, it says to insert a picture and resize it. So first of all, we need to place the insertion pointer at the end of the section. Right here, it says target heart rate. And then we need to use that picture that we downloaded from before. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably want to go back and watch literally the first 2 minutes of this video where I talk about how to download resources. So in this case, it's already downloaded and extracted. I need to click Insert and then Pictures. I know it's in my Downloads area. I find it. Oh, and there it is. And then I need to change the height. To 1. And I need to click the text wrap button right here. It wants me to choose tight. Then I click the align button. And it wants me to choose align right. You can see how it pushes it off to the right. And that completes step 8. Step 9. It says to format the picture and insert a caption. So select the picture if necessary. Mine is already selected, so we're good to go there. Need to click the More button in the picture styles area. I need to choose something very particular, which is the bevel rectangle. Always takes me a minute to find it here, bear with me. Bevel rectangle. I'm going to select that. That looks great. Puts a bevel on it. Next, I'm going to right click the picture and insert a caption. I'm going to click OK. See a picture forms below it. It says select and delete the caption placeholder text, and then retype over it, know your target rate. And then it wants me to select that text again, and then choose the text fill button. I'm going to click the shape format area button up here, the shape format, and I need to click on text fill, not shape fill, but text fill. And it's saying to click on the 6th color in the first row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. Making sure that's correct. I'm going to change the height to 0.2. Change the width to 1.5. Next, I'm going to, this is 9H. I'm going to hold down the control key because I want to select both the picture and this caption down below. You can see now they're both selected. What we're going to do is group them together. So I'm going to click the Align button up here. Wants me to align them center. I'm just taking my time to make sure I get the instructions correct here. Then I'm going to click the Group button, and that's going to lock it all together. And that locks it together. Step 10, edit the alt text on the graphics in the document. So we're going to select the border around the SmartArt. I'm just going to click somewhere in the border here, not on the individual pieces, but on the border. And then I'm going to right click. One of the choices is alt or alternate text. Gives me an option to then type in graphic of predicted. Make sure you get the spelling correct. Next it says click the picture of the heart. Right click, edit alt text. Wants me to type in then close the alt text box. And that completes step 10. Step 11, 12, and 13 says to save and close the document, upload and save the project, then submit it for grading. Great job, everybody. Best of luck.